Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 10th episode of Pugwatch. Today's episode takes place as a special edition. Both it is the first Cataclysm Pugwatch that I have done. It takes place in the Throne of Tides, and the second is that I have a special guest here today in the form of Meatshielder you've seen from the other videos. He's playing the Mage McLeans. It's his new main character for this expansion. The idea is, as we run through the instance today, we'll run over some trip-ups, some things that might catch you as you're going through it, and also some tactics and some things you need to watch out for, as well as stupid mistakes that people make, including myself. Throne of Tides is the first instance you'll come across in Cataclysm. It's based in Vashir, and there are some quests available for it, but you need to have completed the Defending the Rift quest chain from Irunak Stonespeaker. If you haven't completed that chain, the quest won't be available. There's also something that you should be aware of, which is if you mount up during Defending the Rift, you will bug the quest and it won't complete. So if you're doing Defending the Rift to try and make the quest available, don't mount up at any point in time in it. Just stay on the ground. Everything should play as it's meant to. Shouldn't have any problems. This first pool here consists of 2 healers and 2 melee DPS. The problem with this, again, this being the first instance in Cataclysm, we decided to play it safe. I was marking up, asking McLeans to sheep the moon. Problem is, I then bounce Holy Shield across all the front 3, breaking the sheep straight away. You don't really need to crowd control in this instance at this level. I mean, I think my gear level was 274, and you need a minimum of 272 to enter this instance. And I didn't really have much trouble. There are some creatures that do hit hard, and we did die, so it's not impossible to die in here, that's for certain. If you are, again, playing with a group of randoms, it's really good to mark up and get a kill sequence going, just so you make sure they hit the right people. Now this second one here, I've slowed this one down to show the mistake from the Warlock. His pet's got charge on, and he immediately sends it in there. And second of all, McLean's there slaps it with a deep freeze, critting for about 40k, I think it was. Instant aggro loss. I'd hit it about twice, if that. The other thing you need to watch out for on this fight is the poison clouds. It sticks on the ground as well. As you notice here, I didn't move immediately. I was a little bit slow on the upkeep. And there's a couple of times where some people just stand in them, but they do a lot of damage, and it is extra work on the healer. Now once you've killed this guy, this is the only path you can take. The other 2 are blocked, but the lift isn't always there, so if you just wait a second, it should come down. It's this giant jellyfish we're all stood on. And this is a perfect reason as to why you should pay attention to where everybody is, because it's only Meatshield and myself on this, sorry, McLean's and myself on the jellyfish. I thought everyone was behind me. I didn't really double check. Came straight out into this corridor, check the map, make sure we're going in the right direction, bam, instant Naga. Now, if this is why, in this place, if you run on too quickly or you aren't sure, this is what will happen. Surprise Naga out of nowhere. And also the boss down the end currently chucks little goblins. They're pretty much goblins with gills. Gilblins, there you go, that'll do. In my attempt to run away, I decided to drop down here and then pop Divine Shield just to avoid dying. As the Warlock very kindly pointed out, we weren't there. So yeah, always keep an eye on where your team is, because if you don't, you'll end up killing yourself. Luckily we got away okay, everyone ran away, even McLean's managed to jump down in slowfall, so we all got on the elevator this time, went back up. And since I knew these were going to pull this time, I was watching because the druid ran ahead while I was trying to type out a warning. And luckily no one went too far, we managed to pick them up normally. Now this section at the top of the elevator it's like a mini gauntlet. It's nothing too challenging. These guys are melee to start with. They do hit quite hard, and you have to tank them both. Well, you can CC, but it's a bit awkward in the confined corridor. I also had a little bit of trouble getting aggro back off the druid. He's a little bit trigger happy. I suppose people coming from Wrath, there's still the tendency to run straight in rather than wait. And what will happen is, while you're running this gauntlet, the creature at the end will just keep pushing little murlocs and little gelbins towards you just to irritate you, really. They go down pretty quickly, there's nothing major there. Now the Warlock there, getting a bit impatient because I was marking, or at least trying to mark, someone kept moving the marks when I was doing it. Just saying, don't worry about it, it's not heroic. It's not the attitude I'd like to see from people, but at the same time I was probably being a bit overcautious because I was expecting to get hurt severely in this, and it wasn't too bad. Still died a couple of times though, so it's not impossible to die, and it's definitely not Wrath the Lich King face roll content, which I'm kind of glad to see the back of now. But yeah, be prepared for a bit of a shock. It's, again, as I said, overcaution will probably pay off, but it may annoy your team if you're doing a pug, as you saw here. Anyway, once you've cleared the gauntlet, there are these little teleporters around that you can use for getting back and forth. Don't click on the teleporter at this point in time. Wait until you've progressed through to the chamber and beaten the 2 bosses, as you'll see in a minute. The pools in this section now increase in complexity a little bit. There are 2 healers, one at either end. I silence the first one and pull her in towards me, and McLean's is right on the ball there with the sheep. So I just make sure I pull them out of the way of the sheep. I really don't need it breaking. I try also to keep doing that swirly purple stuff. That's not bad. That's the Warlock's demon pet increase spell. I can't remember what it's called. Hand of Gul'dan, sorry. That's Hand of Gul'dan. It creates that effect and it increases his pet's damage. Once those lot are down, we just kill the other healer quite easily, because being a healer, they're squishy. Once that healer's down, I then pick up... There's a little pack of Murlocs and a heavier dude. Now, the heavy dude I pick up first, trying to avoid the Murlocs. He's quite a hard hitter, and again, he sprays poison everywhere. As you notice, I wasn't too quick in moving him this time. I kind of let his back end sit in the poison. It doesn't bother me, but it does mean that druids and that can't attack from behind. Which, good to see actually, is a melee class that attacks from behind. I haven't seen one for a while. Now I screwed this up. That was meant to be a moon mark there, and I put a skull. Everyone else did what they were meant to. I didn't. So, learn from my mistakes. Mark with the correct shapes. While I've been recording this, actually, McLean's did mention I should probably get a button add-on that just lets me click on certain things and go from there. Now this boss here is Lady Najjar, and her abilities mainly consist of a 2-phase fight. The first phase, you beat her in the face until she pulls up a shield. The second phase is while she's shielded, you pick up the ad she summons. Now there's a couple of sorceresses and a couple of the big dudes that you saw earlier. I can't remember their exact name, but you can't miss them. They're huge, carrying massive conch shell lance things. Now she's not really a hard fight. She doesn't hit that hard, but picking up the ads to make sure they don't squish the squishier people is definitely a good idea. Now I panic here. I panic moved her out of the purple circle, only to realise it's actually the Warlock's pet spell, so I just left her in it this time. Now she does do this hydro pump attack there. As you've seen it there, it's caught everybody. I should have moved her out of it, or at the very least the druid should have moved himself out of it. I wasn't really paying attention and it did hit me quite hard. Now this shield where she's surrounded herself with foam is her protection move. She's now protected and immune to damage. So our next step is to pick up, as you can see, the big guy here with the conch shell on one arm and a spear in the other. He needs to go down fast. He is the biggest priority. The second then is the spellcasters that are stood at range, just beating on everybody else. Now, as you probably saw, there are a few spells still flying at Najjar. I'm not too sure why. I think one is McLean's pet, and I think the other was the Warlock. So I'm not sure whether there was an accident there or they were just auto-fire attacks. Anyway, once she comes out of that bubble, you can continue pummeling her in the face. Again, it's pretty much this part of the phase of tank and spank, then she'll pop a shield. Here come the ads. Now this is where I screwed up quite badly because an ad got away from me. It's over there. I kept range taunting it, but some of the DPS kept going to it. The other problem is McLean's had the healer locked down over on one side, and one of the characters, I'm sure it was the Warlock, just kept hitting it every so often, either with a death coil at one point to try and crowd control it, and then he sort of dotted it up, which I thought was a bit silly because no one else can do anything with it. Once I got down the big guy, it's pretty much the little guys don't do as much damage, although, as I said, the Paladin did die because she got focused by one of them then, so as a tank, this is a bit of a hectic fight. I'm glad to see hectic fights are back, though. I miss them. I don't like having to just stand there and roll my face over the keyboard. Now, Najjar does one more move, which you just saw there, which was the green slime. Just don't stand in it. That's simple enough to avoid. Now, she dropped a... I believe it was a one-handed agility axe. I'm not really interested in that as a paladin. I think I got most of my rewards from the quests in here. But yeah, it was an impressive fight. I enjoyed that fight, and there wasn't a lot of just standing around, oh, I don't know what to do. It was quite an engaging fight, which is what I'm glad to see back. I'm going to slow the footage down now to show you this next part, because I thought this is brilliant, and this is really making Cataclysm at the moment for me. Now, once you've beaten her, there's a gate release switch. It turns on the security for this building. And once you turn it on, the squid that you may or may not recognise, depending on if you've done the quests in the basin, pretty much gets electrocuted. All of the defences here fire up, channel enough electricity through the thing to turn it into fried calamari. and it withdraws. I must admit, I really do like these cutscenes. You also get a brief glimpse of what's being sent back towards you now as well. So anyway, our friend Squiddly Diddly backs off, and that's the end of him for now. So with that done, is our final battle here. Or it's not a final battle, sorry, it's our final battle on this floor with Commander Uthok. Now, as you probably noticed already, he is one of the Old God's servants, and his job is pretty much just to pummel you into the ground. It's quite a hard fight, this one, and I'll run through it step by step. And this will definitely catch new tanks out if you get given the tips that I do, which is pretty much kite him around, and you treat it like Grobulus or something like that, where you expect a periodic move, you will fall. So Commander Uthok here, pretty much he will channel I'm going to call it a smackdown move. While you're fighting him, it's a tank and spank, but when you see him channeling this move, you need to back away from him. I was close the first time, but it did enough damage to screw me for the second time. So that's the move. The moment you see him channeling that, you back up. You've got to back up, and then you've got to move him out of the way of it again. He does do a channeled force choke style on ranged DPS, but you don't need to worry too much about that. Unless you're a ranged DPS, then you do. Anyway, that was a direct hit from full health. I wasn't near the edge of it, I was right in the centre, straight down. If you're on the edge, you take a bit less damage, but you still take the damage over time, which is what gives you sort of the fair whack of it. But if he hits you with it directly, that's it, you go splat. So you've really got to pay attention in this fight. If you see it coming, you move. And then once you've moved, you need to move him out of the way as well, so he doesn't affect everybody else with it. Once he's down, the puddles disappear though, so you're all okay to go in and loot him or whatever. The paladin did pop me back up here as well, which was nice of her. So back up, buff up, thank everybody for waiting for me. McLean's chucked me some strudels because I'd eaten the last one. And I had a quick check of the map. Now this is where you take the portal down. You can either go and hand in one of the quests. There are no continuation quests as such though, so you can always wait till the end. I handed mine in there and moved on. Once you return back to the start, the corridor is clear and there are no adds that respawn or anything like that, so you can run straight up. Once you get to the end here, you can go right or left. If you go left, that's towards Neptulon in the final battle, so it's probably best to go right first of all. Now there's a couple of little Gelblin mobs here, they're not too much of a problem. This pack is a little bit more of a problem. I pulled the whole lot together and it became a bit of a mess once they started running all over the place. With those it's kind of a hit and miss. Now these guys are fantastically good fun. If your DPS aren't paying attention, you will laugh because they will die. Pretty much they'll juggle you around in the air, but they'll also do this pound move, and if you're caught in that, it will not only juggle you about, but it'll do massive damage as well, so you need to stay out of it. Now this pull here, I got a bit overeager, ran straight in through my shield, and at the time I thought I'd screwed it up, but having spoken to McLean's and looked on a couple of guides and that's how you're meant to do this pull. And you really need your DPS to be paying attention. If you notice there, all the Gelbins have been pulled now because someone AoE'd, and I believe that AoE looked like a Frost Mage. So you can kind of see what happens. If they don't focus, they don't take the big target down, you will have a lot of trouble with the little guys. I guess it's 50-50 really. You can either take the big guy down and try and avoid the pound, or take the little guys down. Now really, taking the little guys down might be better because they tend to knock you about and do a fair bit of damage despite being so small. This guy, you can see him telegraphing his moves a mile away, so you can just back out of them. Anyway, once he's down, I believe there's just one more of him and his mates up ahead, and then you can progress on to the final room. The rest of this corridor pretty much consists of a large pack of Gelblins. Then they all need to be killed quite quickly. There are two healers inside, or two mana users I should say. They hit the hardest. They've got like a hydrofoil attack, or a hydro blast, or hydro pump, whatever you want to call it, that does do a lot of damage. So get in, blow them all down, get the hell out. And also these two can't be crowd controlled. These next two, it's pretty much mark them up and then pull them. Now the problem is that you've got two of them side by side. If they start to pummel, you are screwed unless you can get out of it really quickly. As you saw there, it's pretty much up, down, out. That's it. You don't get a chance to sit around and sort of twiddle your thumbs. You've got to be right on the ball. The moment you get knocked up, get away, because that's when they start doing their pummel. Now this boss in here is Uranak Stonespeaker, and attached to his head is Mindbender Gushar. Pretty much it's 2 boss fights in one. Uranak is your friend, you're here to help him, but Mindbender Goshar definitely needs a good old smackdown. Now, things you need to be aware of when tanking Uranak with the Mindbender on his noggin is that he does a cone of fire kind of move. You need to have him facing away from the group. You'll see it hit me, and at this point in time I've got about 54-55k health. It pretty much halves that, and the healer just has to heal me. Now, the druid isn't stood behind him, he stood to the side, and I think he got caught at one point. No, maybe not. But yeah, within rapid succession I'm taken down to about half health. If you can interrupt his fireballs and things like that as well, less damage on the tank. A lot of classes tend to get a bonus now for interrupting. I know on my paladin if I do a rebuke I get a bonus. I know on a mage if you do counterspell you get a bonus as well, so can't really afford to pass that up. But there we go, we've now knocked him off of Erenek's head and he's gone straight for McLean's. You have to beat that party member down to 50% health. Once that's done they need to be fully healed again, but once you've beaten that person down to 50% health he won't go for another, he'll just sit there and let you beat him up. The toxic gas he does a lot of damage, so move out of it immediately. Continue on beating him. He can only, or it only appears to lay one cloud of toxic gas at a time, so once it dissipates, be prepared for him to do it again. As you can see over there, it's just disappeared and he's immediately moved it over here. So if you can, keep an eye on that. That, again, will eat through your health quite quickly if you stood in it. Once you've done enough damage to him and his health's gone, he will flop down dead and award some nice loot, although none of us can get to loot him there. Or someone was quick enough before running out of the poison cloud. His cloud doesn't dissipate on death, you might have to wait a bit if he drops it right at the last minute. And I just sorted my quest out here with Erenak and picked up the extra shinies that I was owed. Now from here there's only one place left to go, which is all the way back down the path we came in and straight across and up the other side. This pretty much puts us just outside of Neptulon's chamber now. Now this section here is covered with elementals that will respawn if you're not quick enough. The little elementals can be taken down quite quickly, but it's a good idea to beat the big ones and just generally get them down, move on, get them down, move on. It's another mini gauntlet. Again, it's nothing particularly challenging, but it's just nice to have something fun. Now, I've got no idea why the druid turned into a bear there. He's done it somewhere else as well, and I've had to fight for aggro back off him. I'm not sure whether it was by accident, because he did turn into a Tauren as well at one point, so whether he's got them hotkeyed or something. And once you beat those big guys, they then turn into these little guys as well, which I didn't expect. Thankfully, McLean's had them hit with a cone of cold, and that was that. Now, as with most gauntlets, the moment you stand still, chances are you'll get flooded, so keep moving, go in, kill them, pick them up, move on. They die really quickly to AoE moves, the little ones do anyway, the big ones just need to be focused down. As you can see, everyone's pretty much piled in there, the warlock with his demon, the hunter with his pet. Sorry, not the hunter with his pet, the druid. Sometimes mistaken for hunter pets. Keep your eyes behind you. I tend to move in the middle of the pack for this section just in case something respawns. And then once you've done that, these two guys are the last two. They will split into lots of little ones once you kill them, so kill them, pop down an AoE or have your thunderclap or whatever you've got if you're a warrior. Have swipe ready if you're a druid, have death and decay ready if you're a death knight, because the moment you kill them they go all over the place. I dragged them about there because I thought I saw one approach the party from behind. I thought I saw the aggro meter jump about. It pretty much wasn't anything. The paladin popped down a consecrate to take out the little ones as they respawned, but they didn't get any big ones come up behind them, so we were okay there. The rest of this corridor is pretty much consists of just killing the remaining elementals and then entering Neptulon's chamber. Once you've entered the chamber, no more elementals will approach from behind you. Now this is a defense event. Want to start it, you've got to speak to Neptulon there, and he pretty much says, "Defend me." Once you've engaged the event, you'll get loads of little low level, well not low levels, but loads of little weak creatures running towards him to hit him. The ones as a tank you want to focus on are these big dudes here. As a DPS, you really want to take out the little guys really quickly, then help the tank. Now again, you might get more than one of these come in, just pick them up. Keep them away from the DPS for sort of any chance you get, taunt it, slap it down, keep it off the DPS. They need room to focus on the other stuff. These guys aren't so powerful because they're quite small, but they still need to be picked up by the tank. I say aren't so powerful, really. Any of these left unchecked will cause a wipe. So the moment they arrive, pick them up, work them down. Don't bother with the little ones. Keep your energy build up. If you're a Death Knight or a Paladin, make sure you've got Holy Power available, or all your runes are cooled down, ready for the next group of big guys to come in. As you can see here, the DPS we had were pretty much on the ball. They took down the ad really quickly. That's it, it's down. Here come the next two. Now these ones don't need to be picked up by a tank. I thought they did. They don't. You can completely ignore them. As a tank, you need to pick up the things that look like the Shadow Priest's Shadow Fiend. So that one there, there's one that appears over the back. What these guys do is lay down a toxic cloud. They spit it out. So just make sure you keep their attention so they don't go throwing it on the DPS. The DPS need to kill the laser dudes. The tank needs to keep hold of the... I'm going to call them Shadow Fiends. Now there is one of these, it kept wandering away from me. I kept taunting it and it kept wandering back. Luckily it didn't kill anybody, and it didn't seem to be too sure what it was doing. I'm not sure they got stuck on the rock or what. Once those are done, you get made super size by Neptune in order to fight off Mr. Giant Squid here. Now there is a bug where if you step too close to the glass, Mr. Giant Squid disappears. So it's getting the distance right that you can both see him and hit him. And this is pretty much a DPS race. You need to kill him before the flood coming into the room kills you. It's just a case of keep beating him until he dies. Once he's done, and you'll be returned to your normal size. And you do some absolutely amazing damage there. I think McLean's was going on about doing something like 400k with a deep freeze that was resisted, so, or made immune or whatever it is. The stun with deep freeze doesn't work, so he got an absolutely massive damage bonus from it. Some rather nice loot, and a thank you to the group. A couple of them left without saying thank you or goodbye, but I mean maybe they just wanted a quick run, which still seems to be the attitude at the moment, but people seem to be coming around. And overall I was quite impressed for my first Cataclysm dungeon. The group were pretty good. I mean, or Warlock stopping to explain tactics, you wouldn't have got that in Lich King, especially not in the moment. It would just be like, oh, just hit it, tank it. Now I know the tactics. I thought doing these videos will help other people learn the tactics and help me point out mistakes. For example, one mistake I did make that I haven't noted earlier is that I didn't have Righteous Fury on. I pulled one of the mobs when we went down the right hand passage after the second boss, when we went back to the beginning and down the right hand passage. I didn't have Righteous Fury on there, which is why I was struggling for aggro as well. So things like that. I'm not really going to do the review of the group as such. I'm not going to give them marks out of 10 because this is new content for me and new content for a lot of people, and I feel unfair that I may judge people who don't actually know what the content is by saying that they're crap players when they're not. They just haven't. They're still learning everything, much like I am. But yeah, if you come across new people like that, have some patience with them. Explain the tactics. Yes, there are people who are useless at listening. They won't listen. They don't take anything on board. So you do get people like that. Try and explain gently to them. This is the mistake. I mean, by all means, point them towards these videos. These are designed to help newbies understand what they can do wrong in pug situations. That's the whole point I do these now. But yeah, it's also a best idea to give your tank time to pick up on stuff as well. It's one of those things where if you try and pull too quickly or do too much damage, as you saw at the beginning, McLean's did too much damage too quickly with a deep freeze resist, and he had aggro. It took me a good minute to pull it back off, a good couple of seconds to pull it back off and to sort that out. So watch your aggro generation in the first couple of seconds of a fight. Don't rush in. If you're not sure, wait. And if you don't know the tactics, ask. Let those be the core tenets that we ride in on Cataclysm on, rather than what we rode out of Wrath, which was, oh well, AoE it. Anyway, I'll leave you with those final thoughts of the day, and I wish everybody the best of luck with Cataclysm, and hopefully I'll do some more of these once I reach Stonecore. I have been Metroid2K, and this has been Pugwatch. Good night.